Welcome to Mind Renovation Nation, the show that equips, challenges, and empowers small multifamily investors to think differently, act boldly, and grow strategically. Brought to you by Red Maples, a real estate performance advisory service for small multifamily investors. This show is hosted by Nathan Bush, a seasoned property manager, leadership coach, and creator of the Caesar Method. Each episode dives deep into lessons from real-world experience, conversations with trusted mentors, and the proven strategies Nathan has used to build and manage successful real estate ventures. Today's episode is all about what's on Nathan's mind, raw, relevant, and real. If you're tuning in live, don't forget to drop your questions in the comments. Nathan will tackle as many as time allows. Subscribe now on YouTube for more actionable insights and visit nathanbushmba.com for free resources to help grow your real estate business. It's time to renovate your thinking and elevate your results.
Are you looking to stabilize a multifamily asset and make it profitable? Today's show, I'm going to share with you the steps that we take at Red Maples in order to take any asset from leaking money and losing cash to stashing cash for the investors. Yeah, that's right. Today, we're going to teach you all about the turnaround, how to stabilize your multifamily asset. Have you guys put any effort into the thought process of what it's going to take in order to stabilize that asset? It's not as easy as everybody thinks. In fact, it's not just buying a property, I'm going to fix the property, put some tenants in the property and make a bunch of money. It doesn't work like that. In today's show, I'm going to share with you some of the key elements I use in order to stabilize these assets, some of the key elements our team uses in order to stabilize these assets. And ultimately, you're going to learn the 5 key levers to stabilize any shaky asset today. All right? Let me tell you about a real estate investor that I worked with previously. This real estate investor had 27, 26 doors, something like that. It was about 2010 timeframe that this investor had these doors, and he had bought a bunch of property. The challenge was he moved them from one manager over to me, and these properties were not stabilized. He had a number of vacant properties, and most of them were single-family homes, so they weren't even in one location. What happened was, over a period of 9 months in hard work, we were able to turn that entire 27-unit portfolio around, making cash, so much so that the owner was able to retire from his full-time job off of a property that he was pouring money into just 9 months earlier. How does that happen? How can that even be a possibility or in the realm of possibility? Well, I'm going to share with you exactly how to do that. Today, I want you to think about, I want to start with this whole concept of the values cost calculator. Okay. So what is actually costing you the money on the portfolio that's not turned around? I'm going to submit to you that it's not your effort. It's not your systems or processes. It starts at your values, your core values, because core values, when they're not implemented properly, core values have costs, and there's a cost associated with not following through on your core values. The first cost is to your time. Any time that you don't follow through on a core value of your organization, on a deep-rooted core value that fuels your business, that you designed to help you. And if you don't have core values, that might be the first place to start. But every time you don't follow through on a core value, it costs your organization time. It may not cost it time today, but it will cost it time in the future. And so, for instance, let's say you have a core value of seeking the truth, like we do at Red Maples. And this time you decided, well, I'm just not going to seek the truth on this particular tenant. I have a suspicion that that's a fake phone number to their work. I'm not going to take the time to actually seek the truth on this one. Every time I forego that because I'm trying to save time, it actually ends up costing me time in the long run, trying to explain to an owner why I didn't seek the truth on this particular transaction. So every time you jeopardize your core values, there's a cost. There's a cost to your time. The second place that there's a cost is to your trust. Every time we compromise our core values, there is a pull against the trust that we're putting into the marketplace. There's a drain of trust. There's a leak of trust. I want you to imagine every time that you do your core values in your organization, you exercise something that's your core values. It's like taking a coin and putting it inside the piggy bank, okay? And every time you do something against those core values, it doesn't just open the piggy bank, it cracks the piggy bank. It's hard to restore the piggy bank. So we get to put trust coins in, we get to put trust deposits in, and then what happens is deposits over long periods of time into the piggy bank. Okay, that's what saves up so that later you can cash those coins in and turn them into real dollars. But it requires values in order to make that happen. And then every single time you don't adhere to your core values as an organization, it costs you truth. So it costs you time, it costs you trust, and it costs you truth. And what does that mean? That means that what was true about your organization begins to erode. And so the same way a building runs down, every time you jeopardize your core value, it's like eroding or deteriorating the truth of the asset called your business. Not just the physical asset, the spiritual asset that's underneath the lying principles of whether you're succeeding or failing on that asset. The spiritual principles is erosion of truth, is deterioration of truth every time you compromise your core values. And so what I'm here to tell you today is that if you're going to stabilize your multifamily asset, before I get into the 5 key levers that I'd pull on, before I can get into, we have to understand that there has to be a core values that you're adhering to, that you're committed to in order to help you achieve the goals that you're having. I want you to think about core values like this. I want you to think about a tree. And in that tree, it's a big tree it's going to grow up real tall. And deep in the ground are its roots. Now, this tree is going to produce a fruit, okay? That fruit is either going to be life-giving fruit to people where they can eat of that fruit and feel fulfilled and nourished and replant the seeds from that fruit, or it's going to be rotten fruit. How do you know if your tree is going to be rotten fruit? Well, you have rotten core values. That's what feeds all of the fruit that ultimately you can pull off the tree. And those rotten core values, I'm gonna list some core values here, and let me see if any of these are your core values. How about pride or fear? Maybe you have a core value of control, bitterness. Now, I know what you're thinking as I list these off: envy, entitlement, cynicism. As I list these core values off, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, Nathan, I don't have a core value of pride. But let me ask you this question. Do you say this to yourself, I know best? See, if you say to yourself, I know best, nobody else knows it better than I do. Nobody else can do it better than I do. That's a sense of pride if you believe that you know best. And what this leads to is isolation and resistance. It's that rotten fruit that's deteriorating the building. It's destroying the building from the inside out. How about this one? How about, I don't have a core value of fear, but are you having the thought process, what if I fail? See, every time we have the thought, what if I fail, we reinstill the core value in our brain of fear. Or how about this one? I said control earlier. You said, I'm not a person of control. How about this? If I don't do it, I will fail. If it's meant to be, it's up to me. Have you ever said this stuff to yourself? This is called a rotten core value that leads to rotten fruit on the tree, that leads to rotten fruit in your asset, that leads to the deterioration of that asset so that you can't achieve the goals that you're trying to achieve. How about this core value? You have this core value in your business. How about bitterness? Okay, I know you're not a bitter person. Unless you say, I can't let this go. They got to pay for what they did. Or maybe you have a core value of envy. I know you're thinking to yourself, I don't have that core value. But have you ever thought this? Why not me? All these other people are successful. Why not me? That's a rotten core value. And the problem is that this rot will come up through the tree, rot the fruit, and destroy your reputation. This deterioration of the asset is coming from the inside. So no matter how many key levers I give you, if your business is rooted in these core values of destruction, you're never going to be able to stabilize that asset. Your company can't do it. In fact, maybe you have the core value of cynicism. How about people never change? Have you ever said that to yourself? If you've said any of these things to yourself, you don't have to put it in the comments today. But if I was to ask you to put it in the comments, which one of these would be you? Is it pride? Is it fear? Is it control? Is it bitterness? Which one is destabilizing your asset? Is it envy? Is it entitlement? I deserve more. You ever felt like you deserved more? I deserve more. Or how about this one? Victimhood. It always happens to me. Cynicism. People never change. People never change. How about vanity and image? Oh, if I buy this building, how will it make me look? How will it make me look? Guys, core values determine the ability for your asset to be stabilized. That's what the core values do. They determine the ability for your asset to be stabilized. At Red Maples, we have a series of core values. And our organization lives out these core values, and we adhere to these core values, and we ensure that our team is following through on these core values. The first one being do the right thing. Whatever the right thing is in the situation, just do the right thing. See, by doing the right thing, no matter what it is in the situation, that produces a fruit and helps to stabilize the asset. Similar to what I did in 2010, turning that asset around in just 9 months. You got to have the core values that exude from your business, that stabilize the asset. I'm going to give you 5 key levers. Hang in there. If you're looking for tactical, practical things, I will share this with you, but you've got to get this right. If I don't teach you this, if you don't learn this and you can't get this part of it right, nothing else I share with you in the show today is going to matter at all. It won't have any impact in your business at all, because you'll do these things, but you'll do them without the core values. You'll do them without following through to the level of commitment that you have to establish trust in the relationships with people around you. So vanity and image. How about people pleasing? I don't want them to get upset. You ever have this as a core value show up? Or greed. I need more and more and more. Just another one. Just $25 more this week. Just whatever. More and more and more. And so much that you can never be satisfied. How about laziness? It's not worth the effort. You ever said that to yourself? Or rebellion. I want to do what I want, not that. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do whatever I want. If you've had these core values, guys, they leak through your business. And there's a list of other ones. If you're interested in knowing all of the core values and all the different things you say, you can always send me a DM and I'd be happy to walk you through that process. But you got to understand the core values. Now, once you understand that the core values produce the fruit, and it's the fruit that ultimately stabilizes the property, now we can talk about the tactics on which to execute. All right, let's talk about tactic number 1. We have 5 key levers that we can pull on in our business in order to stabilize an asset. The first key lever that we can pull on is construction and capital improvements. Construction and capital improvements. Within your construction, I want you to focus on when you're stabilizing an asset. The first thing, you got to start here. You have to start in construction. There's nothing else that matters more in stabilizing your asset than the construction process and capital improvements. Okay. First step number 1 is to take care of all of the urgent issues. Do you have a work order system? Do you have a ticketing system? Do you have some way of capturing the issues that are going on inside of your property? Have you walked every single unit to see if there's any issues going on inside the property? If your asset is not generating what you're wanting it to do for you, if it's not meeting your appreciation goals, your cash flow goals, or any of the other goals that you could have on your asset, if it's not meeting those goals and expectations, you got to start with urgency of repairs that need to be done inside of that building. If that means you need to go raise more cash or borrow some money against the equity in order to be able to take care of those repairs, you have to do it. You have to. It's not even a matter, because it's not even a question. It comes back to these core value things. Are you greedy? You want more and more and more, and so you're just trying to hold on and hold out without actually doing what needs to be done? because you just don't want to put in the work. It's not worth it to refinance. It's not worth it to go get the extra equity. No, the core values matter, and they matter that you take care of the urgent repairs. The second thing that you're going to do with this capital improvement and construction aspect is you're going to put together a budget for it. You're going to look at where you're at and what you need to invest and how much money you need overall in order to bring the properties up to a condition that other people would want to live in, that you'd put your own family in. That's where you start. You start with construction capital improvements, and then you plan out upgrades. You don't plan out upgrades until you take care of the urgent needs and the immediate needs of your asset that you're working on. The second lever that we're going to pull on inside of this business. So the second lever is the lever of collections. The second lever is the lever of collections. And what that means is that we got to tighten up our late fee policy. We need to automate reminders. The immediate reaction when people are struggling with their asset, the immediate reaction that they want to take is they want to reduce their collections. They want to make it easier and allow people to delay longer. They stall out the eviction filings. They don't tighten down their late fee policies. They don't tighten down their auto reminders and make sure people are receiving notices because they're afraid they're going to lose tenants. I'm here to tell you, you want to lose those tenants. They're bad tenants. Those tenants that aren't paying you, they're eroding the character of your asset. They're telling all the rest of the other tenants that, what if I fail? They see it. They feel it. What they feel you. What if I fail? What if I don't put forth the action, and I can't make this work? And what is my wife going to think of me? And now I have vanity and image, and I don't want anyone. I don't want these tenants to get upset with me and leave. Look, I know best. I'm going to do it my way. Okay, all those things are wrong. Focus on tightening up the late fees. Automate the reminders that go out. Put people on payment plans and hold them accountable to those payment plans, and file the evictions and get rid of the bad tenants. Send a signal to all of the tenants that it doesn't matter. You're not playing games with the rent, that you care about them enough in order to be consistent with what you told them, that you're going to file the evictions around and file the lease and file the evictions. So after we pull on the construction lever and the capital improvements, after we pull on the collections lever, the next lever that we're going to pull on inside of that asset, that portfolio, that whatever, is the culture, the current residents. With current residents, we're going to address things that are things like safety issues. And I know it's crazy, but remember we talked about the invisible piggy bank that we put the coins in earlier every single time that we adhere to our core values? Well, how about this? Every time your tenants adhere to a core value, maybe put a deposit in their piggy bank. Reward the behaviors that you want repeated. And what you'll see is you'll get more of those behaviors. There's a whole book on the 5 love languages. And if you can learn the 5 love languages in business, that's even better. Learn to edify, to put coins in the piggy bank with the 5 love languages of people who are conducting your core values as an organization. By doing so, you're going to begin to stabilize that asset. So reward good behaviors, address the safety issues, and then have conversations with people. Have conversations with your good tenants and talk to them about the whole process of what you're doing and this whole concept of stabilizing the asset or the portfolio. Talk to the good tenants about what you're doing. In fact, over-communicate, which is the next lever that we're going to pull on, which is communication. We want to be proactive in defining this culture, what we have coming up, what we have going on as far as the culture goes, what culture we would like to have as an organization. We've got to start to lean on the communication with residents and the communication with investors and potential investors. We're going to stabilize an asset. So construction and capital improvements, collections are important lever to pull on. Culture is an important lever to pull on. Communication is an important lever to pull on. And cash flow. Cash flow is an important lever to pull on. How do you pull on the cash flow lever? What do you think? If you've been watching this, you've been watching me for any length of time, what do you guys think is the appropriate things to do when it comes to dealing with improving cash flow? I've talked about a number of them on the show before. How about the concept of raising rents? Oh my gosh, my asset's not stabilized right now. How can I possibly raise rents? Well, if you'd like to make more money out of your assets, you've got to learn how to properly raise rents, even if you're uncomfortable. I can't tell you how many portfolios have been brought to Red Maples where they're severely under rented, and maybe they have a vacancy issue, and we're still able to drive rents. You've got to figure out opportune times and opportune ways to drive and raise those rents. Because guys, if we're going to fix or stabilize an asset, we have to get the cash flow up. Part of getting cash flow up is raising the rents. I'm afraid my tenant might leave. Now, are you living in these core values that you have of rot, or are you living in the core values that you have of good fruit that's going to be healthy? Right? Which core values vein are you living in? What are your core values, and what are you actually going to do? What actions are you going to take based upon your core values? So we're going to raise rents. We're going to eliminate unnecessary expenses. Unnecessary expenses. So how do you do that? How do you eliminate unnecessary expenses? One of the simplest things to ask yourself is, are you paying the bills on time of your business? Can you total up how much money you're paying in late fees each month on your bills that you're not paying, either late mortgage or late fees or whatever? Can you total up the total of what those late payments are costing you? Eliminate unnecessary expenses. Maybe you've been covering Wi-Fi to the building, and now's not the time to add additional benefits. Nowhere in here did I say add benefits for the resident. Nowhere in here did I say add amenities to the residents. Not if we're stabilizing an asset. So Wi-Fi, do we need that on the building? Maybe, maybe not. Do I need to refill that vending machine right now? Or should I maybe take the vending machines out while I'm trying to stabilize the asset? I don't know, just a thought. So we're going to raise rents, eliminate unnecessary expenses, and then we're going to plug the revenue leaks. What do I mean by that? That means that we got to fill the occupancy. I did a whole show on having integrity or character in your leasing process. And there's a show about basically charisma and connection and how to spark instant connection with people. You got to go back and watch these other shows. Go back and watch the other show and learn how to fill vacancy. By filling vacancy and plugging the revenue leaks and reducing the amount of time that a property is vacant, meaning that a property goes vacant because it turns over, getting that unit turned and ready and back on the market, right? And plugging those revenue leaks. And then lastly, adding additional income. Where can I get an ancillary income bump on this property or portfolio? You do those 5 things, guys: construction, capital improvements, you pull the lever of collections, you pull the lever of culture, you pull the lever of cash flow and communication. You pull those 5 levers. I'm telling you right now, that asset will stabilize. It might not feel nice going through that process. You might have to talk to your investors about it. You might have to talk to people, but you can stabilize that asset. Now, one of the problems is right here. There's some missteps and there's some myths that people will have when it comes to stabilizing their asset with their maintenance. Here's one of the myths that's out there right now. It's cheaper to do it myself or delay it until it's urgent. It's cheaper to do it myself or delay it. This is a major myth, and it's one of these rotting values that I told you about earlier. There's something holding you back that's telling you, well, if it's meant to be, it's up to me, or I'm afraid I don't have the money for this, or I'll fail, or envy. There's a level of rot that's destroying your business because you think you need to do it yourself. Deferred maintenance is a hidden debt. You'll pay more in tenant turnover, emergency repairs, and reputation damage if you avoid the short-term costs. You'll have long-term pain. The second misstep in maintenance is relying on the cheapest contractor instead of the most consistent or best contractor. Low bid is not best contractor. I know I'm saying all of the hard things today. I'm saying the things that are the heart things today to help you achieve stabilization in your portfolio. Relying on the cheapest bid is not the best approach. Low bid leads to repeat fixes, tenant dissatisfaction, higher long-term costs. And then Inside of maintenance, we have another challenge. It's called the misstep of no proactive inspection system. No proactive inspection system. Because it's costing you so much and you're trying to do everything yourself, you can't proactively inspect your business. And so you don't have an understanding of all the costs that are still there that are hidden. You don't know what that total bill is. When you go to lose weight, I know because I've done this recently, the most difficult part of losing weight is stepping on the scale, knowing where you're exactly at. The most difficult part of stabilizing the asset is getting an understanding of all of the financials that are going on inside that business. Everything from what's the hidden costs all the way through what are the known costs inside of the income statement that you're walking through. And so not having a proactive inspection system costs severely. Here's another set of myths that you just got to kind of understand. If we're going to pull on these 5 levers, don't fall trap to these myths. Here's the second one here, a vacancy. If I drop my rents, it'll rent faster. You know, I've rented a number of different properties over the years by raising the rents, not lowering them. Now, I'm not telling you that you never should lower your rent or that you should always just charge more than what the market can bear. That's not at all what I'm saying. I'm saying that if you think that just dropping your rents will get it to rent faster, you're severely misguided or you just don't know. One of the two. And here's what you should do first. Check out the condition of your property. Go walk the property and determine, are there things that are keeping people from renting this property? Maybe try to figure out why people aren't applying for your property. Is there a hole in your application process on trying to get somebody an application? Did somebody not follow up with people properly? It's not just always dropping the price. It's presentation, positioning, and responsiveness. Those 3 things before dropping price. The next mistake that a lot of people make is no marketing system or weak listing photos. It's really this simple. We're just making these mistakes. We don't think we need a marketing system. We don't think we need list photos. And the last misstep that people have here in the vacancy and the cost of leasing is not knowing your average days to lease. Every single system has an output in a management business, okay? One of the systems is the leasing system. How long from the time that property hits the market to getting leased, what is the average days on market? Do you know not the average days for the market? I go look on the MLS and I find that out. No, how many days is it taking your business from the time that property hits the market to the time it's getting leased? Then we have this concept of just mismanagement in general. Here's some myths and missteps around managing collections, cash flow, those types of things, okay? First myth is the myth of thinking hiring a property manager will fix everything. Hiring the right property manager might fix part of it, but it's not going to fix everything. Okay, we have a challenge. We have an unstabilized asset. There's resources that are required in order to be able to achieve a goal of stabilizing that asset. And just hiring a new property manager is not going to fix it. Just because your property manager told you that the repairs that need to be done inside your building are expensive, don't move them to me. Okay, work with that property manager on what repairs need to be done and prioritize those repairs. Don't just bring a problem to me and expect me to do something cheaper than another manager couldn't do it for. That's not going to stabilize your asset. Okay, that's just laziness. That says either A, it always happens to me is the problem, or B, you just want more and more and more, and you're trying to find it from somewhere else, and you're not getting your satisfaction. Okay, stay away. I don't want that kind of business. Or another issue in the management misstep here is no KPIs or reporting systems. Your business or your property manager has no KPIs or reporting. They don't know what's going on, and so they can't even tell you. And the last kind of misstep here is confusion or busyness. This is not knowing what to work on. And that really stems from a lack of systems. So if we can eliminate these missteps and truths, we can pull on the key levers and we can adhere to our core values. We can stop the bleeding of vacancy. We can stop it. We can stop the bleeding of cash. We can stop the bleeding and the hurt in our business, and we can stabilize our asset because we took a professional approach that's rooted in good values that produce good fruit. So if you'd like to know about how to work with a property manager that does these things, there's a number of different ways that you can search out your property manager. One way is that you can go on Google and put property managers near me. Another way that you can find a property manager is to get into Facebook groups online and ask them in the area that you're interested in finding a manager, who's a good manager or a good property manager in this area. The last way that I recommend finding a property manager is, in addition to all those things, is to hop on my YouTube channel, learn the information that's on this channel right now, all the different stuff, and ask questions about these specific items. What are they going to do? Construction capital improvements. What are they going to do from collections? How are they going to deal with residents and the current culture? What are they going to do to improve the cash flow? And how do they communicate with you? You talk about those 5 things with your next property manager. And guess what? I promise you that will help you in the process of stabilizing your asset. I've appreciated the time with you guys today. Stay blessed. And remember, every day is a great day to build your nation. See ya.